So welcome once again to the question paper analysis of UGC NET English, December 2021, Shift 1, presented by Professor Academy, Chennai. Today we are going to discuss questions from 71 to 75. Let's go to question number 71. So match list one with list 2. List 1 novels, list 2 author. So under list 1 we have A, Don Quixote, against which we have 1, Machado the Assis. Then B, Sorrows of Young Werther, against which we have 2, Honore the Balzac. Then C, Lost Illusions, against which we have 3, Goethe, Goethe. Then D, Epitaph of a Small Winner, against which we have 4, Miguel the Cervantes. So one side we have list 1 novels, list 2 we have authors. So we have these options. So before we go to the options, sometimes it's easy if you know at least one solid work, you can eliminate options. So in this case, now when we read about novels, we know Don Quixote or Don Quixote, how it is pronounced in French. If you know the answer to this one, Don Quixote is written by the Spanish novelist Miguel de Cervantes. The answer is a straight one, A4, Don Quixote, Miguel de Cervantes. This novel you should know because this is considered the first modern novel in the world. Then if you know this, there is only one option which starts with A4, that is option D, right? So that is the answer, option D, A4, Don Quixote written by Miguel de Cervantes. B, Sorrows of Young Werther by Goethe. Then C, Lost Illusions by Honore de Balzac. D, Epitaph of a Small Winner by Machado the Assis. Let's look at each one of them. We have Don Quixote, published in 1605, second volume 1615 by the Spanish writer Miguel de Cervantes. It is considered the first modern novel in the world. And in this novel, we have a pair of characters, well-known characters. We have Don Quixote, the knight, an old man who reads a lot and who wants to go on an adventure. And he goes on an adventure on an emaciated horse, a thin horse. Then along with him, we have Sancho Panza, his neighbor, a farmer, the squire. He acts as his squire. And he travels on a sturdy donkey. Even the donkey has a name, Dapple, and horse, Rosinante. And the adventures of these two people, caught the imaginations of millions of people. So this is the work which is considered the first modern novel, which is considered a realistic portrayal of, the world. And with this, let's go to the next one. Next one, we have the German writer, Goethe, Goethe. It is pronounced Goethe in English, Goethe. And his work, autobiographical work, The Sorrows of Young Werther, Werther. It was published in 1774. It's an epistolary novel written in the form of letters. And this is these are the opening lines of this work. How happy I am that I am gone. My dear friend, what a thing is the heart of man. Then the next work is by the French writer, a classic writer. We have Honore de Balzac. Balzac is known for this collection of works called the Human Comedy, based on Dante's Divine Comedy. The title is based on Dante's Divine Comedy. And there are a lot of works, around 100 works in this collection. So we have few works here. Number one, 1831, we have this novel, The Wild Ass's Skin. So in this story, you have a guy who buys a skin, an ass's skin. And the specialty of this skin is that it grants you wishes. But there is also the underside. It grants you a wish. And once your desire is fulfilled, and you also feel its negative side, that your health declines. So here is a person who wishes again and again and again and finally dies. And there is also a love story in this one. Then we have this work, Le Père Goriot or Old Goriot. This is his another famous work. It's about that old person, Goriot, G-O-R-I-O, and his characteristics. Then we have Lost Illusions. This is the work mentioned in the question. Next, when it comes to Brazilian literature, Machado de Assis, M-A-C-H-A-D-O-D-E, then Assis, A-S-S-I-S. This writer is considered a classic one, and this is his famous work published in 1881, Epitaph of a Small Winner. This is considered his magnum opus. Then he's also known for his other novels like Philosopher or Dog, published in 1891. So let's go to question number 72. Again, match the following. List 1, we have characters. List 2, novels. So this time we have 5. So top 1, capital A, we have the character Winston Smith, against which we have the novel 1, Sons and Lovers. B, Paul Morel, against which number 2, Ulysses. C, Whiskey Priest, against which we have 3, 1984. Then D, Leopold Bloom, we have number 4, Decline and Fall. Then E, Paul Penny Feather, against which we have 5, The Power and the Glory. So some of the characters are well-known characters in literature, especially novels here. At least you are able to identify 1 or 2, then we can eliminate options. Let's see, we have a character Paul Morel, B, which is a famous character created by D.H. Lawrence in his work, Sons and Lovers. If you can identify B, Paul Morel, with 1, Sons and Lovers, we can eliminate 2 options, because option B, we have B1, then option D, B1. So we can eliminate option A and C, right? So we eliminated 2. Then if you know, Winston Smith is a famous character in George Orwell's novel 1984, then A3. Then you can eliminate the other option, you can find out the answer. So answer is B. In the sense A3, Winston Smith, 1984. B, Paul Morel, Sons and Lovers. C, Whiskey Priest comes in The Power and the Glory. D, Leopold Bloom comes in Ulysses. Then E, Paul Pennyfeather comes in Decline and Fall. Let's look at the writers. So Winston Smith is the protagonist of George Orwell's 1984. So this is a dystopian society in which you do not have an individual identity. So there is a big brother watching. It's a kind of a surveillance. Each and every move of an individual is survived by this, under surveillance or watched by the big brother or a kind of an authority figure. But Winston Smith goes against it. So what happens to him? And another major character in this novel. Then we have D.H. Lawrence, Sons and Lovers. This novel is often read as a manifestation of Freud's concept of Oedipus complex. So you have Paul Morel, who is very much attached to his mother. And towards the end of the novel, the mother dies, and Paul Morel has to start a new life. He moves on. Then we have the English writer Graham Greene's The Power and the Glory, which is set in Mexico and the war in Mexico, where we have this Catholic priest simply named Whiskey Priest. And how he tries to survive or how finally is executed is the story. Then you have the Irish novelist James Joyce, Ulysses, published in 1992, which marked the beginning of modernist movement. And in this, we have 2 characters, Leopold Bloom and Stephen Dedalus, walking the streets of Dublin. And the last chapter is from the point of view of Leopold Bloom's wife, Molly Bloom. Then we have Decline and Fall, is a novel by Evelyn Waugh. And the character Paul Pennyfeather comes in this work. Let's go to question number 73. Which of the following novels has its epigraph taken from The Katha Upanishad. Option A, A Room with a View by E.M. Foster. B, Point Counterpoint by Aldous Huxley. C, The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. D, The Razor's Edge by Somerset Maugham. At least if you know the Katha Upanishad has something to do with the philosophy, then if you can eliminate novels which are not based on philosophy, you can narrow down the options. The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells, a more science fiction. Then A Room with a View, it talks about Europe. Then two writers, who worked on philosophy, or their works are based on philosophy. We have Aldous Huxley, Point Counterpoint, then Somerset Maugham, The Razor's Edge. Let's see the answer. We have D, The Razor's Edge by Somerset Maugham, which is based on, or its epigraph is taken from the Katha Upanishad. And this is the epigraph. So epigraph, sometimes they begin a work with a quote from another work. So here the Razor's Edge begins with this passage from Katha Upanishad. The sharp edge of a razor is difficult to pass over. Thus, the wise say the path of salvation is hard. So this is taken from Katha Upanishad, and the title also is taken from there, The Razor's Edge. So what we have to do next, so whenever you read a novel, make sure you read about its publication year and the age in which it was published. Then if there are subtitle for the novel, then you have to know about the subtitle or the major characters, ending, beginning, then also some important scenes or episodes in that work, or also epigram. Okay. Next, let's go to question number 74. Which of these constitute the preoccupations of the protagonist of the Indian writer Upamanyu Chatterjee's novel English August? We have four options, descriptions list. Capital A, marijuana, a kind of a ganja, marijuana, marijuana. Then B, magic. C, monotheism. D, Marcus Aurelius, philosopher, emperor. So now let's go to the options. Option A and D only, in the sense marijuana and Marcus Aurelius only. B, A and B only. C, B and C only. D, B and D only. So at least if you know, this is a tough question. Unless we have read this work, it is tough to answer this question. So one thing we can learn from this question, that we have to concentrate more on Indian literature. So in 2021 December shift 1, we got a lot of questions from Indian literature, and the answer is A and D only. So the protagonist of Upamanyu Chatterjee's novel English August is obsessed with or preoccupied with marijuana and Marcus Aurelius and his work. So if you look at this work, who is the protagonist? You have Agatya Sen, Agatya. So he is the protagonist of this novel, published in 1988. He is more obsessed with masturbation, marijuana, and the philosophy. The book Meditations by this Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius, Aurelius. Then with this, let's go to question number 75, the last question of today's class. Which of these best describes Shyam Selvadurai's novel Funny Boy? Option A, coming of age novel. B, novel of manners. C, picaresque novel. D, sentimental novel. There is a clue in the title. Whenever it's about a boy or someone is going on an adventure, you can guess from the title this is going to be about the growth of this boy or the major character. Then we can eliminate two options, sentimental novel and novel of manners. It can be either coming of age novel, a boy coming to terms with his growth and idea and life, or picaresque novel, kind of a picaresque. It comes from the word picaro, Italian, means rogue, like of Robinson Crusoe's story. Kind of a rogue who goes out of steps out of the house, goes on an adventure. So answer A, coming of age novel. So this novel was written by the Sri Lankan Canadian writer Shyam Selvadurai, and in this novel is set in England, set in Sri Lanka, and talks about R.G. Selvaratnam, ARJIE, R.G. Selvaratnam's growth, the boy's growth. It was published in 1994, and it talks about gay relationship and homosexual relationship, or simply put, how R.G. comes to terms with his sexual orientation or the discrimination he faces there. And towards the end of the novel, of course, he moves from Sri Lanka to Canada. So this is the line. Today, I received my passport. As I looked at it, I finally realized that we were really leaving Sri Lanka, that in 2 days, we will be in a strange country. So that's Canada. So Shyam Selvadurai, Sri Lankan Canadian writer. So the lesson we get from the analysis of these 5 questions today is that we have to focus more on world literature, on the Indian literature, and also novel. Whenever we read a novel, its publication year or epigraph or subtitle and opening and ending and major characters. So with this, let's